So for my semester project, I'm going to be talking about the Lord of the Rings in relation to folklore and pop culture. Um, the start of Lord of the Rings really started on a strict literary basis, so a very literary media form, and has grown into a large form of transmedia. Um, from the transition from book to movie, a much larger fan culture has emerged. A new generation of people have been able to experience Lord of the Rings in ways that previous fans had never been able to see it. For example, when I was younger and I first saw the movie, I was just in awe because all these creatures that you could see and like all these large battles that were in the movie, like it gives you a better visual than what you could just see in the books, which opened the door to a whole new fan culture. Since the release of the movie, there have been many online forums opened up in order to connect the fans and allow them to share their Lord of the Rings media, fan art, videos, cosplay, fan fiction, just about anything you can think of are on these forums, and these people are using it as a way to share their Lord of the Rings experiences with each other. Um, and then, being that Lord of the Rings is as diverse as it is now, people don't just have to like the books to be a fan of Lord of the Rings because of all the media forms that it comes in now. Um, like somebody could be a fan of the book while somebody else could be a fan of the movies, while somebody could just like the fan fiction that's being written about it. Um, it's really gone above and beyond uh, what it could have been or what it would have been if it just would have remained strictly as a literary media form. Um, and then a quote I have here: computer games, the internet, and other new communications medias are often seen to pose threats and danger to young people, but they also provide new opportunities for creative and self-determination. That really hits the nail right on the head. With the evolution of our media as it is, it's really given the Lord of the Rings a new outlet to grow and become something greater than it was before. The big thing that I learned while researching about this, and which I didn't know, everything has an influence from somewhere. Like every idea, most of the time, spans from the idea off of something else. And The Lord of the Rings, when it was originally written by Tolkien, was heavily influenced by Viking Age legends. For example, one of them, like the origin of the ring, or like the ring in the book, is related to one of the stories that's in the book, the Prose Edda, written by Snorri Sturluson. And in his legend, he talks about Loki finding a dwarf and basically threatening to kill him unless he gives him all of his gold, um, which the dwarf does so. However, while he's in the process of this, Loki catches him trying to hide this ring. So Loki sees him trying to hide this ring, and he says, pretty much, give me the ring or I'm going to kill you. And the dwarf didn't want to give it up because he had already taken all of his riches, so he stated that this ring would help him produce new wealth for himself. But Loki took the ring by force, and on the way out of the dwarf's cave where he went to go get his gold, the dwarf cursed the ring to bring death to whoever possesses it, which is very similar to how the ring works in the Lord of the Rings. Whoever has the ring in the Lord of the Rings, it corrupts their mind and brings evil towards them, because who it's linked to feels the energy off of it and sends people to try to retrieve it for him. So, and then very similar to how the Viking Age legends influenced Tolkien in his development of Lord of the Rings. Tolkien's works have also brought influence to many things as well. And that's another thing that I didn't really realize. For example, the development of cinema. In Peter Jackson's movie, The Lord of the Rings, based off Tolkien's books, many foundations were laid. For example, with the CGI creation of Gollum, This performance in the first movie pretty much laid the framework for a number of different CGI performances, including Caesar in the Rise of the Planet of the Apes, or even the Hulk in the newer Avenger movies, which overall creates these new characters that without the development of media we wouldn't be able to see. And for it to be used early on in one of the Lord of the Rings movies, I feel like it kind of laid the groundwork in a sense. And the most important thing that probably came out of the Lord of the Rings in terms of media is a program called Massive, which was a program created by one of Peter Jackson's friends, Stephen Reglis. So basically, this program will generate large masses of people, not actual people, but like CGI people. This software was created when the production team realizes that they needed far more people for these scenes than they could get access to. And all three of the Lord of the Rings movies, there's battles with thousands of men, horses, orcs, and Uruk-hai, and there was just no way to do something that large scale. So that's where his buddy came in to help build the program to create the necessary amounts of people, even though they weren't actually people, to complete those scenes. And with digital media evolving the way it is, it took things to a whole new height for viewers, especially for me. The books versus the movies. I'm a very visual person, and to be able to like actually see these things have really made my love for the books, well, the books and the movies grow. And then there's been so many kinds of like new media from the Lord of the Rings. Like there's memes like the one does not simply meme that's been going around for the last couple years. That's a nice example of media that's come from it. Or the song remixes. We're taking the Hobbit's Isengard, that's been around for years, ever since the development of the movie, and that was just something created by a fan in order to show what they liked about the books or the movies. And then there's so many different cosplay things out there for it. Fan fiction written about it. There's probably more fan fiction than anything, but what really shocked me about the whole experience of looking it up, I didn't realize that it had so many, well, not only the books, but the movement of going from the books to the movies, that the making of the movies had such a great effect on other movies. Like, if that makes sense. Like, with the development of the Massive program, like, it started for the Lord of the Rings, but it's been used in so many movies since then that just because of the Lord of the Rings transitioning from the book to the digital media, so many new things have come to be, including, fan culture. And it's really amazing because I can remember growing up, and after I'd watched the first movie with me and my friend when we were younger, we'd always go out in the woods or whatever, and we'd play with sticks and pretend that one of us was a man and then one of us was an orc, and we'd just sit out there for hours. And to be able to, now with there being all these cosplay opportunities and conventions and online forums and everything like that, it's something amazing, just because I have such a love for the movies and books, and growing up I didn't really get to be exposed to anything like that. But now, even just being able to go on the internet, you can watch these things live, and it's just a really great experience. And the Lord of the Rings really paved the way for a lot of movies and fan culture today.